Captain Minho Kim stood in the center of the Galactic Council chamber and felt smaller than he had ever felt in his entire life. The massive crystalline dome stretched above him, reflecting the light of 1,000 stars. Around him, in floating platforms that circled up toward the ceiling, sat representatives from 847 different species. Some had tentacles. Some had wings. Some were made of energy itself. All of them were looking down at him. He wore his best uniform. The medals on his chest represented 20 years of service to humanity and the galactic community. He had fought pirates in the Outer Rim. He had rescued colonists from dying stations. He had negotiated peace between warring factions. None of it seemed to matter now. Beside him stood Dr. Hannah Park, the chief scientist of Earth's Xenobiology Division. Her hands trembled slightly as she held a data pad containing 2 centuries of human scientific achievements. On his other side was Ambassador Ji-Won Lee, her face calm, but her eyes betraying worry. They had prepared for this meeting for months. They knew it would be difficult. They did not know it would be a massacre. Counselor Vexthar rose from his platform. He was a Velcrin, tall and covered in silver scales that caught the light. His species had been part of the Galactic Council for 10,000 years. They had conquered half a galaxy before choosing diplomacy. When he spoke, his voice echoed through the chamber like thunder. "We have reviewed humanity's contributions over the past 200 years, Vexthar announced. The results are disappointing but not surprising. Minho felt his jaw tighten. He forced himself to remain still. In technology, humans have produced nothing original. Every advancement is merely an adaptation of existing galactic designs. In military affairs, human forces are adequate at best. Your tactics are predictable. Your strategies are derivative. You win battles through numbers and stubbornness, not skill. Dr. Hannah stepped forward. Counselor, if I may respond. Human scientists have cataloged over 15,000 new species. We have mapped 300 previously unknown systems. Our medical research has saved millions of lives across dozens of worlds. Vexisthar's laugh was not kind. Cataloging is not discovery, Doctor. A child can list what others have found. You have added footnotes to our libraries. Nothing more. Your medical contributions are competent but hardly revolutionary. Any advanced species could have done the same, and done it better. Other counselors murmured agreement. A few nodded their various heads or appendages. Minho saw no friendly faces in the crowd. Ambassador Ji-Won tried next. Perhaps we should discuss humanity's role in peacekeeping operations. Our forces have participated in 47 missions. We have prevented 3 wars. End of 40. We have protected trade routes that benefit everyone in this chamber. Protected? Another counselor spoke up. A being of pure light named Thex-Eel. His voice was softer than Vexthar's, but no less dismissive. You have followed orders and filled positions that any species could fill. You are adequate soldiers. But that is all. There is nothing special about human peacekeepers except your willingness to die in conflicts you barely understand. Minho could not stay quiet anymore. We understand perfectly well. We understand that peace requires sacrifice. We understand that protecting the weak matters. We understand that doing the right thing is more important than being praised for it. The chamber fell silent. For a moment, Minho thought he had reached them. Then Vexthar laughed again, and others joined him. How very noble, Vexthar said. How very human. You mistake simple-minded stubbornness for virtue. You cling to primitive ideas about heroism and sacrifice because you lack the sophistication to see beyond them. This is exactly why we are here today. He gestured, and a holographic display appeared in the center of the chamber. Numbers and charts floated in the air, glowing softly. The Galactic Council has conducted a comprehensive review of all member species. We evaluate contributions in 7 categories: technological innovation, military capability, diplomatic influence, economic power, cultural impact, scientific advancement, and strategic value. Humans rank in the bottom third of all categories. In some, you are in the bottom 10%. Dr. Hana's voice was quiet but steady. Rankings do not tell the whole story. No, Vexthar agreed. They tell exactly the story. Humanity joined this council 200 years ago with great promise. You were young, energetic, and eager. We gave you opportunities. We shared knowledge. We opened doors. And what have you done? You have remained exactly what you were. A mediocre species that contributes little and demands much. Ambassador Jiwan spoke carefully. Counselor, we have always paid our dues. We have honored every treaty. We have never broken our word. Indeed, Vexthar said. You are reliable in your mediocrity. Consistently average. Predictably unremarkable. And that is why the council has made its decision. The holographic display changed. Now it showed a single word in multiple languages. Server. Effective immediately, humanity is downgraded to observer status. You will retain membership in this council, but lose all voting rights. Your resource allocations are reduced by 70%. Your territorial claims beyond your home system are forfeit. You may attend meetings but not speak unless asked. You are welcome to remain part of our community, but only if you accept your proper place within it. Minho felt the words like physical blows. Around him, the chamber erupted in discussion. Some counselors seemed uncomfortable. Most seemed indifferent. A few were nodding enthusiastically. This is a mistake, Minho said, but his voice was lost in the noise. Dr. Hana touched his arm gently. Let it go, she whispered. But Minho could not let it go. He raised his voice. You think we are irrelevant? You think we contribute nothing? Fine. Then you will not miss us when we are gone. Vexthar waved a dismissive hand. Typical human drama. You threaten to leave, but you will not. You need us, far more than we need you. Where else would you go? What else would you do? Accept reality, Captain. Humanity is irrelevant. The sooner you embrace this truth, the easier your future will be. 12. 41. 12. 12. Two guards appeared at the chamber entrance. They were not human guards. Ambassador G1 nodded once and turned toward the exit. Dr. Hana followed. Minho stood for a moment longer, looking up at the hundreds of species who had just dismissed everything humanity had tried to be. Then he followed his colleagues out of the chamber. Behind them, the council had already moved on to other business. The human delegation was forgotten before they even left the room. Outside, in a private transport back to the human embassy, the three of them sat in silence. Finally, Ambassador G1 spoke. Contact Earth, she said quietly. Tell them it is time for protocol exodus. Minho looked at her. You planned for this? G1 smiled, but there was no humor in it. I always plan for everything, Captain. The Council thinks we need them. Let us see how they feel when they discover they needed us. 18 months had passed since the humiliation at the Galactic Council. Commander Yuna Choi stood on the bridge of the construction platform orbiting Mars and watched as the final hull plates were attached to the ship below. It was beautiful in a way that military vessels rarely were. Sleek and dark, it seemed to absorb light rather than reflect it. The ship had no name yet. Officially, it did not exist at all. How many more? Yuna asked the engineer beside her. Dongha Nam checked his tablet. This is number 47. We have 23 more under construction. Another 30 in the planning stages. At current production rates, we will have the full Silent Fleet operational in 14 months. Yuna nodded slowly. The Silent Fleet was humanity's answer to irrelevance. Every ship was built using technology the Galactic Council had forbidden as too dangerous or too destabilizing. Every system was designed from scratch, using human engineering principles instead of copying alien designs. They were smaller than Council warships but faster. They were weaker in direct firepower, but nearly impossible to detect. They could not win a straight fight against a council battle group. They were not meant to. What about the drives? Yuna asked. Dongha smiled. It was the first real smile she had seen from him in weeks. The quantum slip drives are exceeding all projections. We can jump twice as far as standard FTL, and we leave almost no signature. The Galactic Council tracks ships by their hyperspace wake. Our ships do not leave wakes. Show me. Dongha pulled up a simulation on the main display. A human ship appeared, made a jump, and vanished. The tracking systems showed nothing. No residue, no energy spike, no gravitational distortion. It was as if the ship had simply stopped existing in one place and started existing in another. How is that possible? Yuna asked. Because we stopped trying to do it the Council way, Dongha said. Their FTL technology is 10,000 years old. It works. So they never bothered to improve it. We have been working on this for 18 months, with no bureaucracy and no committees telling us it cannot be done. Turns out, it can be done. Down on Mars, in the research complex built into the Valles Marineris Canyon, Dr. Hannah Park was making her own discoveries. She stood in a laboratory surrounded by equipment that would have made the Galactic Council very nervous. In the center of the room, a small sphere floated in midair with no visible support. Gravity manipulation, she explained to the visiting Admiral Minho Kim. The Council banned this research 300 years ago after the Krix Wars. They said it was too dangerous. They were probably right. But we are doing it anyway. Minho walked around the floating sphere carefully. What can you do with it? Everything, Hannah said. She touched a control pad, and the sphere shot upward, stopped instantly, then zigzagged through the air, in patterns that violated every law of motion. Minho understood. Imagine a ship that can change direction without turning. Imagine a vessel that can accelerate without limit, because it is not pushing against anything. Imagine weapons that do not need to aim because they can curve around obstacles. The Council will not like this. Hannah laughed. The Council declared us irrelevant. Admiral, why should we care what they like? It was a good question. Minho had been asking himself the same thing for 18 months. Earth had recalled every human from every galactic posting. Peacekeepers, diplomats, scientists, traders, all of them had come home. At first, the Council barely noticed. Then they started asking questions. Earth's response was always the same. Humanity was focusing on internal development. The truth was bigger than that. Humanity was undergoing a transformation. Out in the colony worlds, Governor Sora Han was building something the galaxy had never seen. Her settlements no longer imported anything from Council space. They grew their own food using aggressive genetic modification the Council had banned. They manufactured their own equipment using automated systems that put millions of robots to work. They powered everything with experimental reactors that extracted energy from quantum foam. We are not just independent, Sora told Minho during his inspection tour. We are beyond them. Every limitation they put on us was holding us back. Now we are free to be what we always could have been. Minho looked out over the colony spreading across the valley below. 2 years ago, 3,000 people lived here in prefabricated domes, dependent on supply ships from Earth. Now, 50,000 people lived in towering cities of glass and steel. Farms stretched to the horizon. Factories hummed with production. Children played in parks under artificial skies that looked more real than reality. How did you do this so fast? Minho asked. We stopped asking permission, Sora said simply. The Council has rules for everything. How to build, what to research, where to expand. We followed those rules for 200 years and stayed small. Now we make our own rules. Turns out, humans are very good at making things when nobody is telling us we cannot. Back on Earth, Ambassador Jiwan Li sat in her office reading reports from across human space. Every report said the same thing. Humanity was thriving. Economy up 40%. Population growth accelerating. Technology advancing faster than any time in human history. And all of it happening in complete silence. The Galactic Council had sent 23 requests for meetings. G1 had responded to each one politely but firmly. Humanity appreciated the Council's interest, but was not ready to resume diplomatic relations. Perhaps in a few years. Perhaps longer. The Council did not need to worry. Humanity was fine. That last part was not quite true. Humanity was better than fine. Humanity was becoming dangerous. Dr. Bora Shin ran the new Xenopsychology Institute on Luna. Her job was to understand how alien species thought, and, more importantly, how to exploit that thinking. She had teams studying every major council species, looking for weaknesses, blind spots, and assumptions. The Velkrin are the key, she told Minho during his visit. They are the most powerful military force in the council, and they think in very rigid patterns. They have been winning wars the same way for 10,000 years. They cannot imagine any other way to fight. And if someone fought them differently, Bora smiled, they would not know how to respond. Look at this. She pulled up historical records of Velkrin military campaigns. Battle after battle showed the same patterns. Overwhelming force, direct assault, complete destruction. They always win because they have the most ships and the biggest guns. They never lose because nobody has ever tried to fight them any other way. Until now, Minho said. Until now. Bora agreed. The pieces were coming together. The silent fleet would give humanity ships the Council could not track. Quantum slip drives would let those ships appear anywhere without warning. Gravity manipulation would let them fight in ways no enemy expected. And xenopsychological warfare would let them exploit every weakness in rigid alien thinking. Admiral Hyun Song commanded the Eastern Defense Flotilla and was responsible for protecting human space from any threats. He had not seen any threats yet. The Council had reassigned all former human territories to other species, but none of those species had actually tried to claim them. A few had sent scouts. Those scouts had encountered strange sensor readings, lost communications, and decided to report back for further instructions. The instructions never came. The Council was busy with other problems. They still think we are irrelevant, Hyun told Minho. They think we are hiding in our little corner of space, nursing our wounded pride. They have no idea what we are building out here. Minho looked at the star map displaying human space. It was bigger than it had been 18 months ago. Not officially. The Council had not approved any expansion. But human ships were going farther every day, and human colonies were growing on worlds the Council did not even know existed. How long before they notice? Minho asked. They already noticed, Hyun said. They just do not care. We are irrelevant, remember? What we do does not matter to them. Minho smiled grimly. It will matter soon enough. In a secure facility deep under the Himalayan mountains, engineers were building weapons. Not guns or missiles, though they were building those too. These weapons were stranger. Virus bombs that could shut down alien computer systems. Nanomachines that could sabotage ships from the inside. Psychological warfare broadcasts designed to break alien morale. Gravity mines that could tear ships apart. Everything the Galactic Council had banned. Everything they had said was too dangerous or too cruel or too destabilizing. Humanity was building all of it. We are not going to war, Ambassador Jiwan had told the military commanders. But if war comes to us, we will fight it our way. Not the Council's way. Our way. That was 18 months after the humiliation. Humanity had gone silent. The Council had moved on. And in that silence, something new was being born. Something the galaxy had never seen before. Humanity, unchained. 3 years had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council chamber in disgrace. Councillor Thexiel stood before the Council Assembly and tried to hide his concern. He was a being of light, and emotions showed through his form as color shifts. Right now, he was showing more worry than he wanted to admit. "We have not heard from humanity in 6 months," he said to the gathered representatives. Before that, their responses were minimal. Now, there is nothing. They do not answer our calls. They do not attend meetings. They have completely withdrawn from galactic affairs. Counselor Vexthar waved a dismissive hand from his floating platform. So? We declared them irrelevant. They are behaving accordingly. This is exactly what we expected. They are sulking in their corner of space, trying to pretend they do not need us. They will come back eventually. They always do. Quote, "I am not so certain," Thexiel replied. "Something feels wrong. We have sent trade missions to human space. None have returned. We have sent diplomatic envoys. They are turned away at the border. We have even sent simple survey ships just to observe. Those ships report strange readings and then go silent." "Define strange?" another counselor asked. Thexiel projected a series of reports into the center of the chamber. Sensor ghosts, energy signatures that appear and disappear, ships that vanish from tracking systems, unknown structures on planets we thought were uninhabited. And most concerning, several patrol vessels have gone missing, near what used to be human territory. The chamber erupted in discussion. Vexthar slammed his hand down, calling for order. Missing ships are not unusual in that region. There are pirates, spatial anomalies, and various hazards. To blame this on humanity is absurd. They barely have a functional military. They certainly cannot make ships disappear. Then where are our vessels? Thexiel pressed. Where are the trade missions? Why will humans not speak to us? Because they are embarrassed, Vexthar said firmly. They thought they were important. We showed them the truth. Now they are hiding from that truth. Give them time. They will accept their place and rejoin the community. This conversation is pointless. But the conversation continued in private channels. Several counselors shared Thexiel's concerns. The Velkrin Empire, emboldened by council approval, had attempted to claim several former human colony sites. They sent a battle group of 12 ships. Only 3 returned. The crews reported impossible things, ships appearing from nowhere, attacks from every direction at once, weapons that bent around shields. Then silence. The Velkrin commanders demanded answers. The council had none to give. They sent investigators. The investigators found empty space and a lot of debris. No bodies. No survivors. No evidence except scattered wreckage from Velkrin ships. Pirates, Vexthar declared. Obviously pirates. That region has always been dangerous. But pirates did not operate with such precision. Pirates did not make entire battle groups disappear. And pirates certainly did not leave behind wreckage that showed damage from weapons nobody had ever seen before. Deep in what used to be called the human border zone, Admiral Hyun Song watched the reports come in from his scouts. The Velkrin battle group had been dealt with cleanly. No human casualties. No survivors to report what they had seen. Just another mystery for the council to puzzle over. They still do not understand, Hyun said to Commander Yuna Choi, who had joined him in the command center. They think we are the same species they dismissed 3 years ago. Yuna smiled. The silent fleet had performed perfectly. Her pilots had used quantum slip drives to appear behind enemy lines. They had used gravity weapons to tear shields apart. They had used psychological warfare broadcasts to create confusion and panic. Then they had vanished before any distress calls could reveal what happened. Should we let them know? Yuna asked. No, Hyun said. Silence is our greatest weapon right now. Let them wonder. Let them worry. Let them imagine what we might have become. The reality was more impressive than anything the council could imagine. Human space had expanded dramatically in 3 years. Not the old, slow expansion where humanity asked permission and filed claims and waited for approval. This was something different. Human ships went where they wanted. Human colonies appeared on worlds the council had never catalogued. Human stations orbited in systems the Council thought were empty. It was not invasion. Humanity was not taking anything from anyone. They were simply going places nobody else had bothered to go, and building things nobody else had thought to build. And they were doing it all in silence. On Mars, Dr. Hannah Park had taken gravity manipulation to terrifying new levels. She could now create localized gravity wells that crushed anything inside them. She could reverse gravity to tear objects apart. She could create gravity shields that deflected energy weapons like water off glass. Every breakthrough led to 3 more. Every problem solved revealed 5 new possibilities. The Council banned this technology because it was too dangerous, she told Admiral Minho Kim during his latest inspection. They were right. It is incredibly dangerous. It is also incredibly powerful, and we are getting better at it every day. Minho watched as a demonstration target was crushed into the size of a marble by invisible force. How long until we can weaponize this? We already have, Hannah said. The Silent Fleet ships all carry gravity cannons now. They can tear through shields, crush hulls, or just disable ships without destroying them. We can fight at ranges the Council cannot even measure. It was not just weapons. Human technology was advancing across every field. Medicine that could cure diseases, the Council thought, incurable. Energy systems that produced power more efficiently than anything in galactic space. Manufacturing that could build a city in weeks instead of years. Agriculture that could feed billions on worlds the Council considered too harsh for settlement. Dr. Bora Shin's xenopsychology teams had mapped out the thinking patterns of every major Council species. She knew how they would react to threats. She knew what scared them. She knew what they thought was impossible. And she was planning accordingly. The Council operates on assumptions, she explained to the military commanders. They assume everyone fights the same way. They assume technology advances slowly. They assume younger species are inferior. These assumptions make them predictable. And predictability is weakness. Governor Sora Han's colonies had become showcases of human potential. Planets that the Council said could not be settled now hosted millions of humans. Worlds that the Council said were too dangerous now had cities and farms and schools. Every colony was self-sufficient. Every colony was growing. And every colony was armed. We are not building an empire, Sora told her fellow governors during a conference. We are building a civilization that cannot be threatened. We are making ourselves so strong that nobody will ever dismiss us again. Back at the Galactic Council, the mood was shifting from dismissive to uneasy. More ships were going missing. More reports were coming in about impossible sensor readings. And humanity still was not answering questions. Counselor Thexil tried again to raise the issue. We need to send a formal diplomatic mission. We need to understand what is happening in human space. What is happening, Vexthar interrupted, is that a minor species is trying to seem important by being mysterious. It is a trick. A game. We should ignore it. And if it is not a trick, Thexil asked, what if humanity has actually developed something significant? Vexthar laughed. Impossible. They were mediocre 3 years ago. They are mediocre now. Species do not transform overnight. It took my people 10,000 years to achieve our current level of technology. Humanity has had 200 years and barely managed to copy what we gave them. 3 more years changes nothing, but 3 years had changed everything. In the shadows, humanity had built a fleet that could appear anywhere. They had developed weapons that broke the rules of conventional warfare. They had expanded into territories the Council did not even know existed. And they had done it all, while the Council was not paying attention. Should we reveal ourselves? Admiral Hyun asked during a strategy meeting. Should we show the Council what we have become? Ambassador Jiwan Lee shook her head. Not yet. We are not ready for that conversation. And more importantly, they are not ready. Let the Council continue to think We are irrelevant. Let them continue to dismiss us. When the time comes, the revelation will be more effective. When will the time come? Minho asked. Jiwon looked at the star maps, showing council space. She saw the political tensions building. She saw the trade disputes escalating. She saw the Velkrin Empire growing more aggressive. She saw all the cracks in the foundation that the council was too arrogant to notice. Soon, she said quietly. Very soon, the council will need us. And when they do, they will learn the cost of declaring humanity irrelevant. In the depths of space, human ships moved silently through the darkness. They watched. They waited. They prepared. The galaxy thought humanity had disappeared. The truth was far more dangerous. Humanity had simply learned to move in the shadows. The war began over something stupid. A mining dispute between the Velkrin Empire and the Therox Confederation. Both sides claimed rights to a cluster of resource-rich asteroids. Both sides refused to negotiate. The Galactic Council tried to mediate. The Velkrin Empire responded by sending a battle fleet. War leader Gorix commanded the Velkrin forces. He was old, experienced, and absolutely certain of victory. The Velkrin had not lost a war in 3,000 years. They had the biggest ships, the most powerful weapons, and the most disciplined soldiers in the galaxy. The Therox were a trading civilization. They had merchants, not warriors. This would not be a war. It would be a lesson. The lesson went badly wrong. The first battle lasted 6 hours. The Velkrin fleet of 300 ships engaged the Therox defense force of 500 vessels. The Velkrin expected an easy victory. They got a brutal stalemate. The Therox fought with unexpected skill and determination. When the dust settled, both sides had lost over 100 ships. Gorix was shocked. The council was alarmed. The war was just beginning. Within a month, 12 star systems were engulfed in fighting. The Velkrin advanced with overwhelming force. The Therox retreated, but did not break. Other species took sides. Old grudges surfaced. Trade routes collapsed. Refugees fled by the millions. The galaxy was burning, and the fire was spreading. Councillor Thexiel stood before the council assembly and tried to maintain composure. We need peacekeepers. We need mediators. We need forces that can separate the combatants and enforce ceasefires. We need help. The response was chaos. Every species had an opinion. Few had solutions. The Council's own peacekeeping forces were small and scattered. They had been small and scattered for 200 years because humanity had always filled the gaps. Human peacekeepers, human mediators, human forces that could be trusted to remain neutral and do the hard work. Now those humans were gone, and the gap they left behind was enormous. We need to call more species to contribute peacekeepers, one counselor suggested. From where? Thexiel demanded. Which species has forces trained in peacekeeping? Which has experience in neutral mediation? We spent 2 centuries letting humans handle these tasks because nobody else wanted to do them. Now we need those skills and they are gone. Counselor Vexthar rose slowly. He looked older than he had 3 years ago. The war was not going as he had expected. Nothing was going as expected. Then we train new peacekeepers. We establish new protocols. We do what we did before humanity arrived. That will take years, Thexiel said. We do not have years. The war is spreading now. The death toll is in the billions and climbing. We need help immediately. The chamber fell silent. Everyone knew what Thexiel was suggesting. Everyone knew. It was the only option. And everyone hated it. Finally, a counselor from the Nexian collective spoke. Contact humanity. Ask for their assistance. Vexthar's scales rippled with anger. Absolutely not. We declared them irrelevant. We cannot go crawling back the moment we face difficulty. It would show weakness. We are weak, Thexiel said quietly. The war proves it. We cannot keep peace in our own space without help. That is the truth, whether we like it or not. The debate raged for hours. Finally, a vote was called. The motion to contact humanity passed by a narrow margin. Vexthar stormed out of the chamber. Vexil remained behind to draft the message. It took 17 attempts to write a message that asked for help without sounding desperate. It took another 5 attempts to write one that acknowledged past mistakes without admitting fault. The final message was sent to Earth 3 days later. It was polite, formal, and carefully worded. It explained the situation and requested humanitarian assistance in the interest of galactic peace. The response came back within an hour. One line. From Ambassador Ji-Won Lee. Why should the irrelevant concern themselves with such matters? Councillor Thexil read the message 3 times. Then he showed it to the council. Some councillors were angry. Some were embarrassed. Most were desperate. The war was getting worse. The Velkrin were pushing deep into Therox space. Civilian casualties were mounting. Refugee camps were overflowing. Disease was spreading. And the council had no effective response. They sent another message, more apologetic, more desperate. No response came. They sent a third message. This one acknowledged that perhaps humanity's contributions had been undervalued. Perhaps their presence had provided more stability than the council recognized. Perhaps it would be beneficial to discuss a return to cooperation. The response was silence. War leader Gorix did not care about politics. He cared about victory. His forces had taken 17 Therox systems. He had crushed their fleets. He had broken their defenses. Now he was driving toward their core worlds with 900 ships. Nothing could stop him. The Therox were finished. After them, he would deal with their allies. Then he would make the Council understand that the Velkrin Empire was the true power in this galaxy. His fleet entered the Therox home system and prepared for the final assault. The defenders had perhaps 200 ships left. They were arranging themselves in a defensive formation around their homeworld. It was pathetic. Gorix gave the order to advance. His ships moved forward in perfect formation. This was how the Velkrin fought. Overwhelming force. Applied directly. It had worked for 3,000 years. It would work now. The Therox ships opened fire. Gorix's shields absorbed the damage easily. His own weapons began to respond. Victory was minutes away. Then something impossible happened. Ships appeared behind his fleet. Not from hyperspace. Not from any direction. They were simply not there one moment and there the next. 40 vessels. Small. Dark. Human. Gorix stared at his sensors in confusion. Human ships? Here? How? Why? The answer came in the form of weapons fire that tore through his rear ships like they were made of paper. Gravity weapons that crushed hulls. Energy beams that cut through shields as if they did not exist. Missiles that ignored all countermeasures and found their targets with perfect accuracy. All ships, turn and engage the human vessels. Gorix commanded, but turning took time. His fleet was designed for forward assault, not fighting enemies on multiple sides. As his ships laboriously began to rotate, more human vessels appeared. Then more. They were everywhere at once, striking from impossible angles, then vanishing before his weapons could lock on. How are they doing this? His tactical officer screamed. Gorix had no answer. Human ships were supposed to be slow and predictable. These ships moved like nothing he had ever seen. They appeared, fired, and disappeared. They attacked from above, below, from all sides simultaneously. His ships could not track them. His weapons could not hit them. His shields could not stop them. In 15 minutes, Gorix lost 100 ships. In 30 minutes, he lost 200. The Therox defenders, seeing what was happening, pushed forward. The human ships coordinated with them perfectly. It was not a battle. It was a massacre. Retreat, Gorix finally ordered. All ships retreat immediately, but retreat required coordination. It required his ships to maintain formation while withdrawing. The human vessels did not allow that. They pursued, striking at every attempt to organize. They separated his fleet into groups, then destroyed each group systematically. It took 3 hours for the Velcrin forces to escape the system. Of the 900 ships Gorix had brought, only 400 made it out. He had suffered the worst defeat in Velcrin history. The battle was broadcast across galactic channels. Every species watched in shock. The humans had intervened. The humans had crushed the Velcrin fleet. The humans had technology and tactics nobody had ever seen before. The humans were not irrelevant. The Council sent 47 messages to Earth over the next week. The first 20 went unanswered. The 21st received a response from Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee. She would agree to meet with Council representatives on neutral ground to discuss terms. The word made Councillor Vexthar sick, but he had no choice. The Velcrin Empire was reeling. The war was still spreading, and humanity had just proven they were the only force that could stop it. The irrelevant species had become essential, and everyone knew it. Grand Marshal Taewon Yu, Supreme Commander of Human Military Forces, reviewed the battle reports with satisfaction. The Silent Fleet had performed beyond all expectations. They had revealed only a fraction of human capabilities, but it had been enough. The galaxy was watching now. The galaxy was afraid, and the galaxy was ready to listen. "What are our terms?" Admiral Minho Kim asked. Ambassador Ji-Wan smiled. "Everything we lost, and more. Much more." War leader Gorix refused to accept defeat. He gathered every remaining Velcrin warship from across the Empire. 3,000 vessels, the largest fleet assembled in 1,000 years. His target was Axis Prime, the seat of Galactic Council power. If he could capture or destroy it, the Council would collapse. The war would end with Velcrin dominance. His humiliation would be erased. The fleet moved slowly toward Axis Prime. Gorix did not try to hide his approach. He wanted the Council to see him coming. He wanted them to feel terror. He wanted them to understand that the Velcrin Empire would not be defeated by mysterious human tricks. On Axis Prime, panic spread through the Council chambers. Their defense forces numbered 800 ships. Good ships, but not enough. Not nearly enough. Evacuation plans were drawn up. Diplomatic channels were flooded with pleas for help. Every species that could contribute forces was begged to send them. Ambassador Ji-Wan Lee received the Council's urgent message in her quarters on Earth. She read it carefully, then deleted it. She sent no response. Let them wait. Let them suffer. Let them understand what it meant to be dismissed and ignored. 6 hours later, she received another message. This one was from Councillor Thexiel personally. It was not a formal diplomatic communication. It was a personal plea. Billions would die if Axis Prime fell. The galactic order would collapse. War would spread across hundreds of systems. "Please," he begged. Whatever humanity wanted, the Council would provide. Just help. Ji-Wan read the message 3 times. Then she sent a simple reply. "We will come. But when this is over, things will change." Thexiel's response was immediate. "Anything. Whatever you want. Just save us." The Silent Fleet deployed from a dozen hidden bases across human space. 200 ships. It looked like nothing compared to 3,000 Velcrin warships. But appearance was deceiving. Each human vessel carried weapons the galaxy had never imagined. Each crew had trained for exactly this scenario. Each captain knew their role perfectly. Admiral Minho Kim commanded the operation from his flagship. Beside him stood Commander Yuna Choi, who would lead the strike squadrons. Engineer Dongha Nam monitored the quantum slip drives. Dr. Hana Park stood ready to coordinate the gravity weapons. They had planned this battle 100 times. Now, they would execute it. The Velcrin fleet arrived at Axis Prime in standard formation. Massive dreadnoughts in the center, cruisers on the flanks. Destroyers screening ahead. It was the same formation the Velcrin had used for 3,000 years. It had never failed. Gorix was confident it would not fail now. The Council defense forces arranged themselves in a desperate defensive shell around Axis Prime. 800 ships against 3,000. It was hopeless, but they would try. Some species were evacuating their representatives. Others were staying to fight. The mood was grim. Gorix opened a channel to Axis Prime. Surrender now, and I will spare the civilians. Resist, and everyone dies. You have 1 hour to decide. Before the Council could respond, space twisted. Reality bent. And human ships appeared everywhere at once. They did not arrive in formation. They did not jump in from a single direction. They materialized throughout the entire battlefield. Behind Velcrin lines. Above them. Below them. Between their ships. The quantum slip drives made normal tactical positioning irrelevant. Gorix stared at his sensors in disbelief. 200 ships had just appeared in locations that should have been impossible. His formation was meaningless now. The enemy was inside his defenses. All ships engage, he screamed. But engaging required knowing where to shoot. The human vessels were moving faster than Velcrin sensors could track. They would appear, fire, and vanish. Then, appear somewhere else, and fire again. Their weapons were like nothing in the Velcrin arsenal. Gravity cannons crushed ships from the inside out. Energy beams phased through shields and boiled hulls. Missiles appeared behind targets without crossing the space between. It was not a battle. It was a demonstration of superior technology. Commander Yuna led her strike squadrons deep into Velcrin formation. Her ships moved in patterns that violated every rule of space combat. They changed direction without turning. They accelerated without thrust. They dodged fire that should have been impossible to dodge. The gravity manipulation technology Dr. Hana had developed made human ships dance through space like leaves in wind. Engineer Dongha's quantum slip drives allowed human vessels to jump multiple times per minute. A human ship would engage a Velcrin cruiser, take damage, slip away, repair, and return before the Velcrin could reposition. The enemy could not predict where humans would be. They could not plan. They could only react, and they were too slow. Dr. Bora Shin's psychological warfare teams were broadcasting on all Velcrin frequencies. The messages were designed specifically for Velcrin psychology. Reminders of ancient defeats. Quote, suggestions that their commanders had betrayed them. Fake orders to retreat. The broadcasts created confusion and panic. Velcrin ships started firing on each other. Some broke formation and fled without orders. On Axis Prime, the Council watched in stunned silence as the human fleet tore through Velcrin forces like a knife through paper. 200 ships were destroying 3,000. It was impossible, but it was happening. The humans were not just winning. They were dominating. Gorix realized too late that he had made a terrible mistake. The humans at the Therox homeworld had been holding back. This was their true capability. He was not fighting a minor species with mediocre technology. He was fighting something the galaxy had never seen before. Retreat, he ordered. All ships retreat immediately, but retreat was impossible. Human ships blocked every escape route. When Velcrin vessels tried to jump to hyperspace, human ships appeared at their destination points. When they tried to fight through, gravity weapons disabled their engines. The Velcrin fleet was trapped. Admiral Minho opened a channel to Gorix. Surrender now. Power down your weapons and engines. Any ship that continues to fight will be destroyed. You have 5 minutes to comply. Gorix wanted to refuse. He wanted to fight to the last ship. But he had already lost 2,000 vessels in the past hour. His fleet was shattered. His empire's military might was broken. If he continued, every ship and every life would be wasted. All ships, cease fire, he said bitterly. Power down, weapons and engines. Surrender to human forces. The battle ended. The silent fleet had won. Of 3,000 Velcrin warships, only 600 remained intact. The Council's defense forces had lost only 12 ships, all from accidents in the chaos. Human losses were zero. Not a single vessel destroyed. A few damaged, quickly repaired. It was the most one-sided battle in galactic history. On Axis Prime, Counselor Vexthar watched the aftermath in silence. He had called humans irrelevant. He had mocked their contributions. He had dismissed their capabilities. Now he watched as human ships patrolled the system. Protecting the Council, he had said they were not worthy to join. The shame was overwhelming. Ambassador Ji-Won Lee arrived on Axis Prime 3 days later. She walked into the Council chamber with Admiral Minho Kim on one side and Grand Marshal Tae-Won Yu on the other. The chamber was packed. Every species wanted to hear what humanity would demand. Ji-Won did not stand in the center where supplicants usually spoke. She walked to a council platform that had been empty for 3 years. The human platform. She stood there and looked out at the assembled species. 3 years ago, she began. You declared humanity irrelevant. You said we contributed nothing. You said we were mediocre. In every way. You took away our voice, our resources, and our territory. You told us to accept our proper place. The chamber was absolutely silent. We accepted your judgment, Ji-Won continued. We withdrew. We stopped trying to meet your standards. We stopped trying to earn your approval. We stopped trying to be what you thought we should be. Instead, we became what we actually are. She gestured to the displays showing recordings of the battle. For 200 years, we followed your rules. We used your technology. We fought your way. We limited ourselves to what you said was acceptable. We were mediocre because you demanded mediocrity. You banned innovation as dangerous. You restricted research as destabilizing. You punished creativity as disruptive. And we obeyed. That was our mistake. Counselor Thexil spoke carefully. What does humanity want from us now? First, Ji-Won said. Restoration of all rights and territories stripped from us 3 years ago. Second, a permanent seat on the Executive Council with full voting power. Third, command authority over all peacekeeping operations. Fourth, complete freedom to conduct any research we choose without Council interference. Fifth, immediate access to the restricted technology archives. Several counselors gasped. One stood to protest. Those archives contain dangerous knowledge, technologies that could destroy civilizations. We cannot simply hand them over to any species. Ji-Won smiled coldly. You already did. We reverse-engineered everything we needed from the scraps you gave us. The archives would just save us time. But if you refuse, we will continue discovering everything on our own. Your choice. Counselor Vexthar finally spoke. His voice was quiet, defeated. And what guarantee do we have that humanity will not use this power to dominate others, as the Velkrin tried? None. Ji-Won said bluntly. You will have to trust us. The same way we trusted you when we joined this council 200 years ago. You betrayed that trust. We will not. But you will have to take that on faith. The council debated for 2 days. In the end, the vote was unanimous. Every demand was granted. Humanity was not just restored to its former position. It was elevated above it. The species once declared irrelevant was now the most powerful voice in galactic affairs. 5 years later, Admiral Hyun Song stood on the training grounds of the new Peacekeeping Academy and watched young recruits from 40 species learn human tactical doctrine. Commander Yuna Choi was teaching them how to think unconventionally. Engineer Dong-Ha Nam was showing them technology that had seemed impossible a few years before. Dr. Hana Park was demonstrating gravity manipulation in ways that made alien scientists weep with joy. On the Outer Rim, Governor Sora Han's colonies had become centers of learning and innovation. Species that had once dismissed human science now sent their best students to learn from human teachers. The methods the council had called primitive were revolutionizing entire fields of study. Dr. Bora Shin's Xenopsychology Institute had expanded to 15 worlds. Her teams were working with every major species, helping them understand each other better, preventing conflicts before they started. The galaxy was more peaceful than it had been in 1,000 years. Captain Minho Kim, now an old man, stood in the council chamber and watched Ambassador Ji-Won Lee mediate a dispute between two species that would have gone to war under the old system. She solved it in an hour, using methods the council had never considered. When she finished, both sides were satisfied. Nobody died. That was the human way. After the session, a young counselor approached Minho. "I read the historical records about humanity's dismissal. How did you not hate us? How did you come back to help us after what we did?" Minho thought about it for a moment. "Because being bitter helps nobody. You made a mistake. You learned from it. That is all anyone can ask. Besides, you gave us something valuable when you dismissed us." "What?" "You freed us," Minho said. "You stopped us from trying to be what you wanted. You forced us to become what we actually were. We were never mediocre. We were just constrained. You removed the constraints. In a way, you did us a favor." So, the young counselor looked confused. Minho smiled and walked away. Let them figure it out themselves. That was the human way too. Learn by doing. Grow by struggling. Become strong through adversity. Humanity had been declared irrelevant. They had proven otherwise, not through conquest or domination, but through being themselves. Stubborn, creative, adaptive, and free. The galaxy had tried to make them fit a mold. They had broken the mold instead. And in doing so, they had saved everyone.